I wanted to wait till I was in love. I just wanted my first time to be something special. It had to be perfect. In my last year of high school, I had this stupid crush. It was an all-consuming, totally obsessive, absolutely impossible crush, and no one else was good enough. So I knew, just knew I'd wither up and die an old virgin because I would never be good enough to date this guy. He was perfect. Perfect hands, perfect body, perfect voice. I used to fantasize. Ugh, it's so stupid. I used to think about his voice and how it would sound if he said my name. And sometimes in class, my mind would wander and I'd hear my name over and over again in that imagined voice stuck in a loop. Myrna, Myrna, Myrna. See, it's annoying when I do it. But hearing that perfect voice inside my head, it was like a movie, an old romantic Hollywood movie in black and white that's somehow gritty and classy, both at the same time. He was so beautiful. I know you're not supposed to say that about guys. They get upset. They're handsome or good looking, but he was beautiful. Just looking at his eyelashes and the way they changed color with the sun through the window. Looking at his face was like seeing the sunshine through the clouds after a rainstorm. He was Apollo. He was Cupid, David, a thing to be admired at length but from a distance. A divine beauty, a work of art. Looking at him proved that the world was not a cruel mistake. We were made in God's image. At least some of us were. Did I love him? I worshipped him. And my love was stronger for being silent and unrequited. Did I love him? I didn't know him. And yet our two souls spoke the same language, and I was alive just for the pleasure of seeing his eyes. One day, of course, it happened. I was walking down a busy hall between classes. He brushed past and said, "Excuse me." My heart fluttered in my chest, and if his voice didn't sound exactly how I had imagined, still we had spoken. I was real after all. He had seen me, spoken to me. Some weeks went by and my fantasy grew. Now I knew our love was destiny. His brief acknowledgement had opened a whole new world of possibility where I would love, he would requite, marriage would follow, and soon after we would consummate our union. Our daughters would be named Scarlett and Ashley after Gone with the Wind. My passion became more obsessive and my behavior less guarded. Soon it became obvious that I was mooning over him. I trailed behind him, sighing as he went from class to class. His initials covered my notebook, and every time he entered a room, my eyes would grow big as saucers to goggle at him. But still, I was too reserved to speak. It was he who asked me, in a shaky voice I had never imagined, if I'd leave the gym with him at the Valentine's dance. Heart lurching, I clutched his sweaty palm as we left the dark and the noise and the crowd to find ourselves alone in the cold emptiness of the lit hall. He kissed me, hair lank and breath smelling of Tic Tacs and alcohol. This is not what I had imagined. Pressed up against a locker, I felt my heart beating too fast and nervous bile building in the back of my throat. "What's wrong?" he asked sweetly, moving his hand from my breast. "Nothing," I croaked, and ran to hide in the nearest bathroom. What had I expected? Nothing short of perfection. What had I received? The deflation of a schoolgirl crush. No longer was he perfection outside of my head. He was a clumsy, horny, awkward 16-year-old. Little skill and less sense. I had projected endless imaginings on him till he had grown to be mythic stature that far suppressed the reality underneath. I had built him up as an oyster grows a pearl from a piece of sand, layer by layer until the starting point is thickly obscured. I avoided him afterwards. I felt somehow that I was the disappointment, that I had failed him by imagining too well. No one could live up to those fantasies, not even the one who inspired them.